Hello and welcome to the Ride One Up Electric Bike Sizing Guide. In this video, we'll discuss choosing the right bike for your size, what to feel for in different sizes, and also changing the bike to better custom fit your body. If you're curious, bike sizing is a discipline that can be incredibly specialized and nuanced. But even if we're not doing the Tour de France, there is a lot that we can do with the bike. Section 1. Customizing your bike. Most any bicycle can adapt to the rider's height and get the right fit in a few ways. The first step is to adjust the seat, and it's super easy. All you gotta do is open up the seat post clamp right here, move the seat to the right height, and then close it down. But the real question is, where do you put it? The length you want actually puts your knee in a slight bent position when you extend all the way on the pedal. I make this adjustment leaning against a countertop, try to make it simple. If you put the seat low enough that you can get your feet firmly on the ground, that's probably too low for riding anything other than around the block. In this position, your legs won't get the full extension, and it will feel like you're pedaling in the mud, with no real power or endurance. Really, pedaling like this will sap your energy quite quickly. If you've had the displeasure of riding in a pedal boat, it's a lot like that. By the way, if you use the suspension seat post, that will collapse the height just a little bit in use, so kind of compensate for that by putting a suspension post a little higher. Honestly, the seat height is one of the most important things to get the right fit, but there is more to the story. Let's get to the length of the arms. The seat itself can be adjusted a tiny bit on these rails, and it does make a big difference despite the small size. You can slide the seat front to back within these lines and then tighten it back down. The tilt can also be changed here, but most of the time you'll just want it flat with the ground. One more thing that we can do to get the best length is change the rotation of the handlebars. Our goal is to get the brake handles in a natural state where our fingers are going to be. If you put the brake handles flat with the ground, normally that's actually not where you want to put it. Here, check this out. If the brakes are extended too far, then you gotta roll your hands over the top to reach them, and obviously that's not okay. If the brakes are too high, then the cables can be stretched in length, but really you're just on your way to carpal tunnel with this kind of treatment. Fixing it is super easy. All you gotta do is loosen the handlebar clamp on the front of the stem and then jump on the bike to find the right natural positions where your hand would normally be. When you've got it in a spot where your hands are no longer straining to reach all those controls, go ahead and tighten it back down because you've got it. Outside of the bike, you can actually get some accessories to make the handlebars change a little bit more. You can get some aftermarket stems, which can be either really stubby or even extend in length. Or, in particular, you can actually get one that articulates to find just the right spot. If you want to pull out the big guns, you can even add some risers to get different handlebars or dial in the right spot. If you need some guidance on what size to get for your bike, feel free to reach out to our support team. Okay, let's move on to Section 2, choosing a bike. Alright, the adjustments that we've discussed can customize a bike for different size riders, somewhere around 6 to 12 inches of difference in the person's height. Here, check this out. This Core 5 step-through can fit someone who is 5 foot even to 6 foot 1. Here's an example of someone who is 5 foot 1 and 3/4 fitting onto the bike. By the way, very proud of those 3/4. We can change the seat and the handlebars, and suddenly this bike, it can fit someone like myself who is 6 foot tall. It is a little bit cramped, but I could do it. So let's discuss picking out the right bike. Ride One Up bikes normally have two sizes, a step through and a step over. The step through is the small size, meaning the dimensions of the bike frame are actually smaller. And the step over frames are built to be a little larger as well. On a side note discussing the frame, a lot of people remember these bikes being called boys' bikes or girls' bikes, but it really doesn't matter in all reality. If you're a man's man, you might actually want a step-through bike for size or just ease of access. There's no shame in it. And if you're a tall gal, you are entitled to a bike that fits you. Let's take a look at the website. On the product page, you'll find sizing information for each model, which shows a height range. Changing from a step over to a step through will change the parameters on the spec sheet. So you might be asking, what if my height is right in the middle of two different models? Well, that's a really good question because you could do either. Let's describe in Section 3 how it feels. If you're in the sweet spot between two different sizes, the differences will be subtle, and here they are. A larger bike will have more loose and wide handling, and it's generally well suited for leisurely rides. If you're on a bike on the smaller size, then it might feel a little tight, both in terms of personal space, but also tight turning and handling. Think of it this way. A big bike feels like a Cadillac, small bike feels like a Mustang. Really, the differences are quite subtle unless you're on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Here's an example. Here's me on top of a very large bike, and you can see I look kind of small when I'm on top of this huge apparatus. On the other end, here's the same person, me, on top of a teeny tiny bike, and I look like a circus bear. So I've used some drastic imagery to kind of get the point across, but really if you're right in the middle of two different sizes, you can do all the other stuff that we discussed prior of changing the seat and the handlebars and the height so that it will feel just right. A lot of the differences people don't even notice once they get it fitted in. So, thanks for watching this video on sizing your Ride One Up electric bike. Let us know if there's other topics you'd like to see addressed in a future video, and feel free to reach out to our service team for additional support.